Hello and welcome. Today we will be learning about for loops and while loops. So let's start off with the for loop. A for loop is used for iterating over a sequence. The standard way to write a for loop is for a certain element, or I in this case, in let's say a certain range. You want to do something, but don't forget your colon. So you want to maybe print that element. Okay. This is basically stating for a certain element in a range, and that range could be, if you want to do numbers, it'll be, you can put 8. And this will account for 0 to 7. Now, you want to note that it stops at 7 because a range is non-inclusive. So whatever number you put here, the last number in the range will be 1 minus that number. So let's start off with an example. Okay, so let's say you want to get a list of all the numbers up to a certain other number. You would first define your function. So let's say define nums up to. And then we're going to have an input here so that users can decide what numbers they want to print up to. And then you're going to do for a certain element, or I, or maybe we can even change this to num. So for a certain number in the range of our input, we want to print it because we want to get the list of that number. So we're going to print that number. And then you want to exit out of the for loop to return. And then what we're going to return is the number. So let's test this code out. So let's say we want to get all the numbers from 0 to 5. We're going to call the function, and then we're going to say 6 is our input because, again, we want to get all the numbers from 0 to 5. So we have our range is up to 6 because the range that will be considered is 0 to 6 minus 1, which is 0 to 5. So let's call this function and see if it works. So if you look down here, you'll see that it printed all the numbers from 0 to 5. Let's move on to while loops. So what is a while loop? Actually, first let's comment all these out so that when we're working on while loops, it doesn't affect us in any way. And you'll just use a hashtag for that. Super useful when you want to take notes between your code or create pseudocode. Okay, let's move on to while loops. So what is a while loop? A while loop repeatedly executes a target statement as long as a given condition is true. Basically, your statement will read, while something is true, or whatever that condition is, we want to do something right here, okay? So start off with our example. Say you want to get a list of numbers 0 to 5. We're first going to define our function. So def num through 5. Let's call it that. Num through 5. And then let's parentheses right there. And then we're going to do our colon and then go on to the next line. We're going to initialize a count at 0, and then we're going to start with our while statement. So while count is less than 5, we want to print count, right? And okay, so basically we initialize count because we want to start off at 0, and then we want to check that whatever number is here is less than 5, and then we want to print that number. Now, to get to the next number, we want to add 1 to count, and then we want to exit out of the while loop and return. We're going to return count itself. Okay, so we're just going to call this function to see if it works. So we're going to do print num through 5. Then we're going to call it. All right. Okay, so printed all the numbers through 5. And what the while loop is basically doing is you have your count, and then it goes into it. So while count is less than 5 and our first count is 0. So while 0 is less than 5, which is true, we're going to print 0, and then we're going to add 1 to 0 to get to 1. And then we're going to go back into the while loop. So it's going to read while 1 is less than 5, print 1. And since that's true, we're going to print 1, which happened here. And then we're going to add 1 to 1, and that'll give us 2, and then so on and so forth. So it's going to keep doing that until this stops being true. So it printed out the count for 5, and then like it goes into it, and since 6 isn't less than 5, it's not going to do that. So we exit out of the while loop and print count. Cool. Okay, great. All right. I understand that some people may not have fully understood this. But an important difference to note in while loops before I try an alternative explanation is to note that for loops and while loops are different in the sense that for loops iterate over a sequence with a set range, while loops check a certain condition. So with a for loop, in most cases, you know when you'll stop. A while loop can go on forever. So a for loop has a range. You know what that range consists of in most cases. And a while loop, depending on the condition, it can go on forever because all this condition has to be is true. So if we change this to true, and in essence, true is always true, this can go on forever. But let's go on to the alternative explanation. Hopefully I'll get everyone else who didn't understand it completely.
Epic rap battles of computer science. In one corner, we have the for loop. In another corner, we have the while loop. Epic rap battles of computer science begin.
For the record, I'm the better. Give me an element, any letter. You have a list, a set range. I'm your man, iterating through the whole thing. Take it step by step. You know what I mean. Count it up, count it up, count it up. Ooh, that boy clean. You so conditional. Need a break? I'm steady counting while you wait. Make a list of who I be. For every I in that range, you can't compete. Should I repeat myself? Make you feel at home? You end dynamically. I'm a certain thing.
Let's fix the record. You must be broken. Did you forget, boo? You repeat too. Yeah, I'm conditional. Is that a bad thing? I move with purpose. You stay in that range. Oh, for a loop. Give it up already. Why you tryna hate? You know you wanna break. Counting values, well that's your only thing. I can last forever, till infinity.
He's stuck in an infinite loop.
I can fix it.
But it's interesting, but isn't ventriloquism by definition a solo activity? What is wrong with you? Everybody likes monkeys. Hang on, Kripke. A loop counter and an escape to the least objectionable activity. Howard, that's brilliant. I'm surprised you saw that.
Gee, why can't Sheldon make friends?
I've had enough. You both work the same with some slight differences. Now here's a hint to what that difference is. You are conditional. Your values are set. For the good of mankind, put this beat to rest. I'm Python, your executioner. Stay in line, fix your bugs, then proceed to hug.
Who won? You decide.